At midnight, Paul and Silas were singing hymns to God. It says they were praying and singing, and the prisoners were listening to them. Some consolation in a dark place. Nothing much happens in a dungeon. But the angels were listening too, and something happened. They were in a high security prison, feet in the stocks, and they were able to get loose. The guard, foreseeing what is awaiting him for letting them escape, is about to commit suicide. And rather than allow that to happen, Paul and Silas calm him down. And the result is that grace touches his soul. And we have an early testimony to infant baptism, presumably because the whole family is baptized. But this has been picked up for another reason. It was an occasion where prayer and music was already happening at midnight. The hymns in question would have been taken from the hymn book. And what is the hymn book of the Hebrews? The Psalter. The Hebrews to this day can sing very well. We have actually one psalm tune in common with them. It's the Tonus Peregrinus. And Israel came forth from Egypt, Jacob's sons from a pagan people. It is something which binds us together over the centuries and is used on Sunday evening and at Eastertide. But there is more. The monastic centuries have looked towards this experience as a privileged time, a kairos, to be consecrated. And over the centuries, from the earliest monastic times, they developed a whole discipline of nocturnal prayer. The Mesonicticon is still there in the East, and in the West, St. Benedict, who channeled the best of the East, put it into his rule and stamped it with the present vigils, matins, which still goes on and will go on until the end of Christian time. He sets the rise as just after midnight, around 2, and earlier on feast days. That by the sun often comes as 3 into our time, and the Cistercians who returned to a literal observance of the rule took up also the horarium as set down by St. Benedict. It was also in the earliest times that taken on by the Carthusians, but they fairly quickly opted for another model, maintaining the Psalter of St. Benedict, the division of psalms, of, however, bringing matins very early on to midnight itself, but then actually going back to sleep, breaking therefore the night in 2. It's also the discipline that we had where I was ordained for Sundays and major feast days. The midnight office on the day, therefore, starting again after a second rise. One learns things in nocturnal prayer. It is the perfect time for praise and also engagement with the Word. Why? The whole of the globe is still. Even the dawn chorus has not yet begun. There is a mode of waiting and wanting. There is an emptiness and a stillness in the air which favours greatly intimacy with the Word, the Logos, Christ the Teacher. And also, and this is important, there is a vicarious role. The monk wakes while the world sleeps. Le moine est celui qui veille. The monk is the one who watches. And so it is that there is actually a commission given to the monk to pray on behalf of the sleeping world and church. And it is something which still happens, that one monastic family passes on the lamp to the other. Some anticipate the vigil before going to sleep. Others have it at midnight. Others take it on when they have gone to bed. And so until the dawn chorus there is praise and worship, listening and indeed intimacy. The night favours intimacy. And so it is fitting that there should be a beacon of light, while what? That of which the gospel of today also is around. And the gospel speaks of it in terms of the prince of this world, the prince of darkness. Well, that is his domain, darkness. Judas went into the night. That short phrase, in the nux it was night, and the night swallowed up, unfortunately, his whole being. And so it is fitting that there should be this light, brightly lit, the lamp of the human soul, calmly holding up the world and keeping company next to the tabernacle. The recluses of old did but that. They were living lights, living lamps, never put out. They too would die in the reclusory, and the reclusory would be taken up by another recluse, who would die twice over. Once to the world in being recluded, sealed in her cell next to the Blessed Sacrament, and also in death, going to meet the one for whom they had kept watch. Veillons et prions dans la nuit, we used to sing at La Trappe. Let us keep watch and pray in the night. L'époux bientôt va revenir. The spouse, the bridegroom, soon will return. And on Sunday we would light the Paschal candle, and at the third nocturne celebrate the resurrection. The vigil on that day was very solemn. Well, what happens? We know, unfortunately, that the demon is fully switched on when we are switched off at night. It is his favoured place of activity. The dark is his comfort zone. And so that is where we find the maximum of sin, the maximum of isolation, the maximum of depression, the maximum of pain, the maximum of death, quite often, in suicide, linked precisely with the powers of dark that push and push at a weak spot. And so it is important that some should be awake. In Rome we were in a red light area, and the industry of prostitution would start at dusk and go on through the dark hours, one after the other. It was painful to see these exploited souls and bodies. The devil loves the dark. And so he will make sure that as many monasteries as possible do other things. Push the rise further and further into the day. Do anything but pray at night. There are important things to do for monks and priests and nuns. The great thing now is to be fully informed. And how does one get the information? A screen. Get onto the screen, but don't come off it. Eat up the night and make sure that the dawn is never witnessed. Keep the monks and the nuns and the priests away from anything dangerous like prayer at night. They must be informed, fully informed, so as to engage with the world. But the world might need something else at night. The head full of information might be less useful than the heart and soul ignited in gratuitous prayer, and, like Paul and Silas, praise. What is the use of praise? And yet God made some angels with no other function but praise. The higher choirs, seraphim and cherubim, do nothing but praise and worship. Hagios, 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 holy, 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 day and night. And so they give us the model, what perhaps the Lord wants. During the expulsions of the religious from France, Chotard held out and went to the highest level of government to indicate that there was also a raison d'être for the Trappists in France. He argued this way: Vous savez ce que c'est qu'une cour, un cour? Do you know what it is? A court in a palace, the king's court. It serves the king in a country. Well, so it is that the creator of humankind deserves a court. And there is a reason for our being. Strangely enough, his word was so powerful that they backed off, and some Trappists were allowed to continue. The king has a right to his court. And in our time, right now, perhaps there is not less but more need for gratuitous, vicarious praise and sacrifice. For the king does not always receive his rights. Indeed, we can hear him say again across the skies unto mankind down here, I am a king, where is my honour? We have succeeded in, alas, finding new ways, even now in a pandemic, of offending our God. Let us give space, gratuitous space, to the night ignited for praise, when the world is engaged with the demons, and the demons fishing for men. What is a death without light? What is a passing on in the hours of darkness when no one was there to accompany? We can accompany souls even without knowing them. We don't always have to know everything. It might be sometimes better to know things through being close to the Sacred Heart, who can teach us things directly without the help of an all-consuming screen. Watchman, what of the night? Watchman, what of the night? The night is made of knowing, hearing well, and seeing all that moves upon the dark. Collected moments, that all moments tell whereof they could be made. For but a spark made of a night that was is all we are, and evermore shall be. When earth's long sleep has bid us take our rest, where dreams afar in regions blessed or damned long vigil keep. O land of well-lit gazing, where the eye views all 'neath fastened lids, and fastest hold of vision doubly dark. The noonday sky has not a ray as bright, or a sight as bold as this, the stillness of a clarity that sundered oft a coughed eternity.